The emergency beacons of Zenith Prime lit up the dark side of the planet like 1,000 dying suns. From his observation post on the orbital platform Genesis, Senior Observer Kex watched in horror as the most advanced civilization in the known galaxy collapsed in real time. His neural implants struggled to process the cascade of failure notifications flooding his consciousness. "Impossible," he whispered, his crystalline fingers trembling as they danced across the quantum displays. "The defense grid cannot fail. The protocols are perfect." But perfection, as they would soon learn, was their greatest weakness. The first signs had appeared only hours earlier. The quantum computing networks that managed everything from atmospheric control to civilian transportation began reporting microscopic errors. The collective's finest engineers had dismissed these as routine anomalies, their enhanced minds calculating a 99.99% probability of normal operations resuming within standard parameters. They were wrong. By the time the first citizens of Zenith Prime began collapsing in the streets, the pattern was already clear to those who knew where to look. The plague wasn't attacking their bodies. It was consuming their consciousness itself. "Emergency protocol override," Kex commanded, his voice cracking as he watched another district go dark. "Connect me to the High Council." The quantum-encrypted channel opened, revealing the faces of the 12 most powerful beings in the collective. Their usual pristine appearance was marred by obvious signs of distress, their bioluminescent skin flickering with chaotic patterns of fear. High Counselor Vex spoke first, her voice carrying the weight of a civilization on the brink. "Observer Kex, your report is noted. The situation is more dire than initially calculated. The plague has been confirmed on 17 core worlds." Kex felt his secondary heart stop. 17. That's impossible by all known laws of quantum physics and plague transmission. Another counselor interrupted, his designation mark identifying him as the head of scientific development. "Yet it is happening. Our best minds are falling victim to their own research. The plague seems to target higher neural functions first, with a particular affinity for enhanced consciousness." The displays around Kex updated with new data, each image more horrifying than the last. On New Haven, the quantum A networks were shutting down one by one, taking entire cities' life support systems with them. The research stations orbiting the gas giants of the Meridian system had gone silent. The great archive worlds, repositories of countless civilizations' knowledge, reported their quantum storage systems were degrading at an impossible rate. "We have confirmation," Vex continued, her voice growing weaker. "This is no natural phenomenon. The quantum signatures match known void entity weapons profiles, but the implementation is unlike anything we've encountered. They'd weaponized consciousness itself." Kex watched as another section of Zenith Prime went dark. The plague was spreading faster now, following patterns that defied conventional logic. It was as if it was learning, adapting to their attempts to contain it. "The advanced defense systems," Kex began, but the head of scientific development cut him off. "Are worse than useless. The more advanced the system, the more quickly it falls. Our perfect networks, our enhanced minds, everything we've built to protect ourselves has become a liability. The plague uses our own quantum connections against us." A new alert flashed across Kex's consciousness, and his third heart nearly failed. "High Council, the medical research station on Zenith Prime has just their last transmission. They found something." The council members leaned forward as one, their fear momentarily replaced by desperate hope. Before they fell, they discovered that the plague targets specific quantum frequency patterns in conscious minds. Our enhanced consciousness, our perfect quantum networks. They all operate on optimized, predictable patterns. We made ourselves perfect targets. "Then we are doomed," one of the counselors whispered. "No," Kex said, his mind racing as he processed the data. In their final transmission, they mentioned one exception. One species whose consciousness operates on multiple chaotic frequencies, a species we've long considered too primitive to contact. High Counselor Vex's eyes widened with understanding. The humans. Yes, Kex confirmed, watching as the last lights of Zenith Prime flickered and died. The humans of Earth, their minds, their entire civilization, operates on principles that defy our understanding of optimal consciousness. What we consider their greatest weakness may be the only thing that can save us all. Junior analyst Catal had been awake for 72 standard cycles, his enhancement drugs barely keeping his three minds functioning. Around him, the emergency command center of the collective's last functioning outpost was a chaos of dying systems and desperate attempts to maintain order. He wasn't supposed to be here. 3 days ago, he'd been cataloging cultural data from primitive worlds, busy work assigned to keep young analysts out of the way. Now he was one of 12 surviving members of the collective's analysis division, and the only one whose neural implants hadn't started showing signs of plague corruption. "Sir," he called out, his voice rough from disuse. "I found something in the archives." Commander Nex, her once pristine uniform showing signs of wear, looked up from her quantum terminal. "Unless it's a cure, Analyst Catal, it can wait. It's about Earth." The commander's bioluminescent markings flickered with irritation. "We don't have time for your obsession with primitive worlds." But Catal persisted, his hands shaking as he transferred the data to the main display. "Look at these readings. They're from our long-term observation posts." The display filled with images of Earth, specifically human brain activity scans taken over centuries of covered study. Next to them, Catal projected the latest plague analysis data. "The plague targets quantum coherent consciousness patterns," he explained, his words rushing out. "That's why our enhanced minds are so vulnerable. But look at the human brains." Commander Nex stepped closer, her irritation giving way to curiosity. The human neural patterns were chaotic, seemingly random, yet somehow maintaining complex consciousness. "This can't be right," she muttered. "Their patterns should be simpler than ours, not more complex." Catal pulled up more data. "They call it intuition, gut feeling, hunches. Their language has dozens of words for types of knowledge they can't explain. We always thought it was primitive superstition, but look at the quantum signatures." The display showed humans making decisions that defied probability. A firefighter who evacuated a building moments before a hidden collapse. A mother who woke up seconds before her child had a seizure. A stock trader who pulled out of a market minutes before a crash. Their consciousness doesn't operate on single quantum frequencies like ours, Catal continued. "It's like they're dancing between frequencies, never staying still long enough to be targeted." Commander Nex's markings pulsed with sudden understanding. The plague can't lock onto their quantum patterns because they don't maintain stable patterns. Every human mind is different, and even individual minds keep changing. Yes, and look at their history. Catal brought up more files. Their planet has faced multiple extinction-level events. Every time, they not only survive but emerge stronger. They call it adaptability, but it's more than that. They actually thrive on chaos. The commander was fully engaged now, her tactical mind racing with possibilities. "Show me their current technology level." "That's another fascinating thing," Catal said, pulling up comparative analyses. "Their development doesn't follow any known pattern. They made it to their moon before inventing memory foam. They created global communication networks before solving basic health issues. It's like they're taking random quantum leaps in understanding." Commander Nex finished. "Their whole species operates like a quantum probability matrix." A warning alarm cut through their discussion. Another outpost had gone dark, bringing the total number of surviving collective facilities down to 3. "Get me everything we have on human emergency response patterns," Commander Nex ordered, her voice carrying new strength. "And prepare a first contact package." First contact. Catal's inner eyelids fluttered in surprise. "But the protocols." "The protocols died with Zenith Prime," she cut him off. We need their chaos, their unpredictability. Besides, she added, bringing up an image of Times Square at night, if any species can handle learning, they're not alone in the universe. While also fighting an interdimensional plague, it's going to be the people who invented reality television, while splitting the atom. The collective's emergency landing pod materialized 50 feet above Times Square, its quantum shield scattering the afternoon light into rainbow patterns across the buildings. Below, thousands of phones pointed skyward, their cameras recording what would become the most viral moment in human history. "Dude, you're blocking the score," shouted a hot dog vendor, gesturing at the massive display showing the Yankees game. The assembled crowd laughed, the sound echoing off the buildings in a way that made Commander Nex's sensor arrays twitch. Their response is not following any predicted pattern, she muttered to Kittal as their pod descended. The collective's models had suggested an 89.3% chance of mass panic, with the remaining possibilities split between military response and religious hysteria. Instead, they got memes. The aliens really said, "New York or nowhere," Raid 1 trending post. Another showed their pod edited into famous movie scenes. Within minutes, someone had already created a dance remix using the sound of their quantum engines. The first official human contact came in the form of a New York City parking enforcement officer who approached their landed pod with a ticket book in hand. "Listen," she said, tapping her pen against the pad. "I don't care if you're from another planet. You can't park in a bike lane." Kittal's translator struggled with the concept of bike lane. But Commander Nex recognized the underlying pattern. Humans using humor to process extreme situations. She stepped forward, her crystalline form catching the sunlight. "We come seeking Earth's help," she announced, her translator converting her quantum harmonics into English. "The galaxy is dying." A teenager in the crowd shouted, "Same," followed by scattered laughter. But beneath the jokes, the humans were already mobilizing. Police had established a perimeter with remarkable efficiency. News helicopters circled overhead. Within 20 minutes, representatives from the United Nations were on site, having apparently maintained protocols for this exact scenario since the 1950s. "Your species has prepared for this," Kittal observed, noting the smooth transition from chaos to controlled response. "Oh, honey," said a woman in a business suit who overheard him, "we've been running this scenario in movies since before we had running water in every home." Independence Day was basically a training video. The real shock came during the emergency UN session 3 hours later. Commander Nex had just finished explaining about the quantum plague when Dr. James Martinez, head of the CDC, raised his hand. "Quick question," he said, pulling up data on his tablet. "Would this explain why every dog in Manhattan started acting weird last Tuesday? Because we've been tracking some unusual neural patterns in animals across the globe." The collective representatives froze. According to their calculations, the plague shouldn't have reached Earth for another week. They'd hoped to have countermeasures in place before then. But rather than panic, the assembled human leaders switched seamlessly into crisis mode. Within minutes, they'd established task forces, begun drafting public health measures, and started coordinating with social media platforms to combat misinformation. "We're going to need a catchier name than quantum plague for public communications," said the UK's health minister. "Something memorable but not panic-inducing." "The space flu," suggested someone, leading to a brief but intense debate about branding the galactic pandemic. What amazed the collective representatives most was how quickly humans integrated the impossible into their daily reality. By sunset, New York street vendors were selling T-shirts reading, "I survived first contact, and all I got was this lousy quantum plague." Emergency broadcast systems were already running plague safety PSAs between regular programming. Twitter had created a special emoji for pandemic-related posts. "They're adapting faster than the plague," Kittal whispered to Commander Nex as they watched humans setting up testing stations with the same efficiency they use for flu shots. "No," she replied, her sensors detecting something extraordinary in the quantum readings from the human population. "They're not just adapting. They're already starting to fight back. Look at their neural patterns. The readings showed human consciousness signatures becoming even more chaotic, more unpredictable, as if their entire species was instinctively shifting to defend against the coming threat. Their chaos, Commander Nex realized, is actually perfect order. We just couldn't see it before. Dr. Amanda Blackwood's garage lab looked like a cross between a quantum physics research facility and a teenager's gaming setup. 3 quantum monitors salvaged from the collected ship displayed complex consciousness wave patterns, while her Twitch stream chat scrolled endlessly on a 4th screen. "Okay, chat," she said, adjusting her webcam while monitoring a neural frequency scan. "We're about to try something that the fancy space crystals think is completely impossible. Channel points betting is now open." Commander Nex watched from the corner, her crystalline form reflecting the blue light of the monitors. "Dr. Blackwood, the equipment you're using is worth more than your planet's combined technology." "Yeah, and I'm using it to prove that consciousness works like jazz music," Amanda replied, taking a sip from her science is just spicy math coffee mug. "Sometimes you have to think stupid to be brilliant." The experiment setup looked deceptively simple. Amanda had connected the quantum consciousness scanner to both her own brain and a jazz quartet playing live in her driveway. Her hypothesis: that human consciousness operated on the same principles as improvisational music. "See, everyone's been thinking about consciousness like it's a computer program," she explained to her stream, now watching by millions worldwide. "But humans don't work that way. We're not playing sheet music, we're jamming." Kittle, monitoring from his own station, shook his head. "The mathematics make no sense. Consciousness requires stable quantum states." "Does it though?" Amanda's fingers flew across the keyboards, adjusting readings. "Because last time I checked, your stable quantum states are getting your butts kicked by this plague. Maybe stability is overrated." The jazz quartet outside hit a particularly complex improvisation. On the quantum monitors, Amanda's consciousness patterns suddenly shifted, matching the music's rhythm, but creating entirely new patterns. "Holy shit," she whispered, then louder to her stream. "Did you guys see that? My consciousness just went full Miles Davis." The data was undeniable. While the collective's enhanced minds maintained single, perfect quantum frequencies, human consciousness jumped between frequencies like a jazz solo, never settling into a predictable pattern. "But it's not just music," Amanda continued, excitement building in her voice. "Everything we do works this way. Every conversation is improvisation. Every decision is a jazz riff. We're quantum beings playing cosmic jazz, and we never even knew it." Her Twitch chat exploded with theories and memes. Someone had already remixed her quantum jazz speech with actual jazz backing. But beneath the internet chaos, something profound was emerging. "Look at these readings from the plague victims," she said, pulling up new data. "The plague works by finding consciousness patterns and disrupting them. It's like a music critic who knows exactly what note comes next, and then crashes the concert." Commander Nex moved closer to the displays, her own quantum senses picking up something extraordinary. "Your consciousness, it's creating harmonics I've never seen before." "Because I'm not trying to be perfect," Amanda explained, her eyes bright with understanding. "Humans never evolved to be perfect. We evolved to be adaptable. Every human mind is different, and even individual minds keep changing. We're not playing one note. We're playing all of them." She switched to a global view of human neural patterns. As the plague spread among Earth's animal population, human consciousness was becoming even more chaotic, more jazz-like. Humanity wasn't just resisting the plague. They were unconsciously learning to jam with it. "Your species considers this normal?" Cull asked, watching the patterns shift and swirl. Amanda laughed. "Normal. Half my breakthrough came from my chat spamming quantum physics memes. The other half came from remembering how my grandma used to say she could feel when something was wrong with her sort of starter. Humans aren't normal. We're quantum chaos incarnate." She turned back to her stream, grinning. All right, chat, who's ready to turn this quantum plague into a cosmic jazz fusion? Time to show the universe why humans are the only species that invented both particle physics and interpretive dance. The chat erupted with enthusiasm, quantum theories mixing with music puns and plague memes. In that moment, watching human chaos in action, Commander Nex finally understood why her species' perfect order had failed where humanity's beautiful disorder might succeed. They're not scientists, she whispered to Catal. They're artists. And the universe, it seems, is their canvas. Dr. Blackwood. The voice came from Jenny Park, a college sophomore who'd been moderating the research stream's chat. You need to see what the Monster Hunter group figured out. Amanda looked up from her quantum displays, her hair frazzled from 20 straight hours of research. The collective representatives watched in confusion as she pulled up a gaming forum thread on one of her monitors. This better be good, Commander Nex said, her crystalline form dimming with fatigue. We lost 3 more systems in the last hour. It's better than good, Jenny said, fingers flying across her keyboard. They noticed something about the plague's attack pattern that matches the fatalist elder dragon's behavior in Monster Hunter World. Kittle's translator struggled with the gaming terms, but Amanda was already pulling up comparison data. On one screen, she displayed the plague's quantum signature as it attacked consciousness. On another, she showed gameplay footage of the notorious video game boss. Holy quantum coincidence, Amanda whispered. They're right. The plague isn't just attacking consciousness. It's following a video game boss pattern. Look at the phase changes. The plague's attack sequence suddenly became clear. Like a well-designed game boss, it followed specific patterns, adapted to counterattacks, and cycled through different phases. But unlike a game boss, it had been optimized against logical, predictable responses. Pull up the World of Warcraft raid data, Amanda called out to her team. More screens lit up with gaming statistics, raid patterns, and player behavior analysis. Commander Nex moved closer, her quantum senses detecting something familiar in the displays. These gaming scenarios. They're training humans to think in quantum patterns without realizing it. Exactly. Amanda's eyes were bright with understanding. Every time humans raid a tough boss, they're actually practicing quantum consciousness manipulation. The successful strategies aren't the logical ones. They're the weird, unexpected approaches that nobody saw coming. Jenny was already compiling data from different games. Look at speedrunners. They break games by thinking outside normal parameters. They find glitches, exploit physics engines, use mechanics in ways developers never intended. Just like the plague uses quantum mechanics in ways the universe never intended. Catal finished, his 3 minds finally grasping the connection. Amanda pulled up her consciousness jazz theory data alongside the gaming patterns. We've been preparing for this without knowing it. Every game we've ever played, every weird strategy we've developed, every speedrun trick we've discovered, it's all been training in quantum consciousness manipulation. The evidence was undeniable. Gamers' brain scans showed consciousness patterns that were practically immune to the plague's attack sequence. Years of adapting to changing game mechanics, finding creative solutions, and thinking in non-linear ways had given them natural quantum defense mechanisms. But this makes no logical sense, Commander Nex protested, even as her sensors confirmed the data. Your species developed quantum consciousness defense by playing games. Humans have always learned through play, Amanda explained, watching as more gaming communities contributed their pattern analysis. While your species was perfecting consciousness, we were playing Dark Souls and learning that sometimes the best strategy is to roll directly into the attack. The breakthrough cascaded across different fields. Fighting game players contributed frame data analysis that revealed microsecond vulnerabilities in the plague's quantum structure. MO raiders shared complex group coordination strategies that could be adapted for large-scale consciousness defense. Speedrunners identified consciousness glitches that could be exploited to bypass the plague's attacks entirely. We're not just discovering the cure, Jenny realized, watching the global gaming community mobilize. We're sequence-breaking reality itself. Amanda turned to her stream, now watched by billions worldwide. Okay, everyone, we're about to raid the hardest boss the universe has ever created. And like every tough raid, we're going to beat it by doing something completely ridiculous that nobody expected. As gaming communities worldwide began coordinating with quantum physicists, Commander Nex observed something she'd never thought possible. Humans were having fun while fighting an extinction-level threat. Your species, she said to Amanda, is either the most brilliant or the most insane I've ever encountered. Amanda grinned, pulling up both quantum displays and raid strategy guides. The real question is, why not both? The treatment center looked more like an arcade than a hospital. Rows of gaming stations lined the walls, each equipped with both standard controllers and quantum frequency modulators salvaged from collective technology. Above each station, quantum monitors displayed consciousness patterns alongside game progress bars. "Welcome to Project Wildcard," Dr. Amanda Blackwood announced to the assembled reporters, "where we fight an interdimensional plague with the power of gaming and quantum physics." Commander Nex stood at the back of the room, her crystalline form reflecting the RGB lighting from the gaming rigs. "This goes against every medical protocol in the galaxy." "That's kind of the point," Amanda replied, leading the group to the first treatment bay. Inside, a teenager was playing Elden Ring while quantum particles danced around his head. "Meet Jason, our first success story." The monitors told an incredible tale. As Jason dodged boss attacks in the game, his consciousness patterns shifted and swirled in ways that made the plague unable to lock on. Each near-death experience in the virtual world strengthened his quantum defenses in reality. The key was stopping trying to cure the plague, Amanda explained, pulling up comparison data. "Instead, we're teaching human consciousness to dance with it. Every game scenario forces the mind to adapt in new ways, making it impossible for the plague to establish a pattern." A scientist from Stanford raised his hand. "But how do you account for people who don't play video games?" Amanda grinned, moving to the next bay. Here, an elderly woman was playing Animal Crossing while quantum readings pulsed around her. "Meet Mrs. Rodriguez. She's never touched a game console before today, but look at her consciousness patterns." The displays showed beautiful chaos. Every time Mrs. Rodriguez rearranged her virtual island or traded with villagers, her quantum signature shifted unpredictably. "Different games for different brains," Jenny Park explained from her monitoring station. "Action games, puzzle games, social simulators, they all create unique quantum disruption patterns. The key is finding what makes each person's mind dance." In another bay, a group of monks had adapted meditation apps into quantum consciousness training tools. Nearby, a kindergarten class played educational games while generating enough quantum chaos to make Kittle's sensors malfunction. "Your treatment success rate is impossible," he said, reviewing the data. 90% recovery. 93 now, Amanda corrected, leading them to the research wing. Turns out combining quantum physics with Git-Gut is surprisingly effective medicine. The breakthrough had come from an unexpected source. While trying to optimize the treatment, they discovered that letting patients watch Twitch streams of other people playing games created sympathetic quantum resonance. Recovery rates doubled when they added chat interaction. "Humans aren't just good at adapting," Amanda explained, showing brain scan comparisons. "We're good at adapting together. Every poggers in chat, every shared victory, every communal rage quit. It all contributes to quantum consciousness evolution." Commander Nex watched as a new patient was brought in, one of her own people. The crystalline being looked barely alive, their consciousness nearly consumed by the plague. Within hours of starting treatment with a carefully selected game library, their quantum patterns began to stabilize. "We're not just treating individuals," Jenny added, monitoring the global recovery data. "The whole internet has become one giant quantum consciousness support network. Memes are actually helping strengthen neural quantum fields. Who knew?" The implications went beyond medicine. Every recovered patient showed enhanced quantum consciousness abilities. People were starting to report strange experiences, intuition becoming more reliable, dreams becoming more vivid, reality itself seeming more flexible. Side effects. Amanda mused, watching the quantum readings spike as a patient speedran through Portal. Or are we just finally learning what human consciousness was capable of all along? Commander Nex's sensors detected something extraordinary. Earth's quantum field was changing. Humanity wasn't just surviving the plague. They were evolving because of it. Their chaotic, gaming-enhanced consciousness was reaching levels that the collective had never dreamed possible. Your species, she said to Amanda, has turned a weapon of mass destruction into a tool for evolution. Amanda watched as another patient's quantum reading stabilized, their consciousness now flowing like jazz made of light. Sometimes the best way to win the game is to change the rules entirely. The first incident happened in Nebraska. Jake Peterson, a 16-year-old who'd recovered from the plague through intensive Minecraft sessions, woke up late for school. In his panic about missing his chemistry test, he somehow teleported directly into his classroom, bringing his half-eaten breakfast burrito with him. Look, he later explained to Dr. Blackwood's research team, I just really didn't want to fail chemistry. Similar reports began flooding in from around the globe. A grandmother in Florida started seeing probability lines like a complex knitting pattern. She used her new ability to win at bingo, then immediately taught her entire retirement community how to quantum knit reality. Your species should be terrified of these powers, Commander Nex observed, watching footage of a Chicago food truck operator who discovered he could quantum fold space to deliver tacos instantly across the city. You're breaking fundamental laws of physics. Bold of you to assume we ever paid attention to laws in the first place, Amanda replied, monitoring the quantum readings. Besides, look how practical everyone's being about it. She had a point. Instead of forming superhero teams or trying to take over the world, most humans were using their new abilities for mundanely practical purposes. A Seattle barista could now perfectly temperature control coffee at the molecular level. A librarian in London had developed quantum text searching, letting her find any book instantly, but only used it to help students with research papers. The gaming elements seem to have influenced power development. Kittal noted, reviewing the data. Each person's abilities reflect their gaming preferences. Strategy gamers developed incredible probability manipulation powers. FPS players gained supernatural reaction times and spatial awareness. MO healers discovered they could buff and heal in real life, leading to a revolutionary breakthrough in healthcare where raid healing strategies were being applied in hospitals. Check this out, Jenny said, pulling up a viral video. A group of Dark Souls players had discovered they could create bonfires, quantum checkpoints in reality that could be used for instant transportation. They'd immediately set up a global transportation network, charging reasonable fees and offering student discounts. The quantum consciousness evolution wasn't just manifesting in obvious powers. Subtle changes were spreading through society. Esports tournaments now featured real-time quantum strategy elements. Game developers were releasing patches to account for players accidentally affecting real-world physics while playing. But what about the responsibility? A reporter asked during a press conference. The power to alter reality itself is being monitored by thousands of backseat gamers on Twitch. Amanda interrupted. Try doing something stupid with quantum powers while live streaming. Chat will never let you hear the end of it. She had a point. The same community elements that made gaming effective against the plague were now serving as a natural check and balance system. Nobody wanted to be the person who got memed into infamy for misusing their quantum abilities. Commander Nex's sensors were picking up something extraordinary. Earth's quantum field had become the symphony of controlled chaos, with billions of humans unconsciously collaborating in what could only be described as a massive multiplayer reality game. Your recent Steam achievement records are concerning, Kittal reported. Humans are now unlocking quantum abilities faster than we can classify them. Speaking of which, Jenny added, checking her phone. The speedrunning community just figured out how to quantum boost in real life. They're already competing for the fastest grocery store shopping times. A notification popped up on Amanda's quantum monitors. The void entities, perhaps sensing the rapid evolution of human consciousness, had launched their first direct attack on Earth. Well, Amanda said, watching as gaming communities worldwide began coordinating their response, looks like we're about to find out if all those hours of raid practice are going to pay off. As alerts went out worldwide, humanity's response was characteristically unique. Within minutes, Discord servers were organizing defense strategies. Twitch streamers were setting up command centers, and someone had already created a leaderboard for void entity kills. Ready up, everyone. Amanda broadcast globally. This is what we've been practicing for. And remember, if we win this, it's going to make one hell of a speedrunning category. The void entity's warships emerged from quantum space like ink drops in clear water, their impossible geometries hurting the eyes of anyone who looked directly at them. In orbit, Earth's hastily assembled defense fleet waited, a bizarre collection of converted civilian vehicles, each powered by pure human audacity and quantum engineering. They're running standard combat algorithms, Commander Nex reported from her command station, predicting attack patterns with 99.9% accuracy. Cool, said Bobby Chen, a former pizza delivery driver now piloting a quantum-enhanced Ford F-150 in low Earth orbit. But did they account for this? He gunned his truck's engine, activating the quantum drift modifications designed by a team of Initial D fans. The pickup truck performed a perfect space drift between two void entity vessels, leaving a trail of quantum disruption that caused both ships to crash into each other. That's not possible, Tull exclaimed. Honey, that's not even the weirdest thing happening right now, Amanda replied, monitoring the global battle from Project Wildcard's command center. Check out what the speedrunning community is doing. A group of Dark Souls speedrunners had discovered that their quantum bonfire network could be weaponized. They were now chain teleporting void entity ships into carefully planned collision courses, treating cosmic warfare like a complex speed strat. In Kansas, a farming collective led by a Stardew Valley enthusiast had quantum modified their combined harvesters to harvest void energy directly from the enemy ships. Ain't much different from dealing with interdimensional void sprites in the game, one farmer explained while his combined harvester somehow ate a battlecruiser. The Minecraft builders had turned out to be humanity's secret weapon. They'd quantum-crafted massive defense structures in hours, creating impossible geometries that gave even the void entities headaches. A group of redstone engineers had somehow built a working quantum computer out of virtual redstone that could hack alien ship controls. Their battle tactics defy all known strategic principles. A void entity commander transmitted, their frustration evident even through the quantum static. That's because we're not using tactics, Jenny replied over the command channel. We're using speedrun strats, baby. The turning point came when someone in the Twitch chat suggested treating the entire battle like a massive multiplayer rhythm game. Coordinated by gaming streamers, humanity began moving in perfect chaotic harmony, their actions syncing with a playlist that somehow combined Doom soundtrack, K-pop, and sea shanties. They're adapting to our patterns, Catal warned, watching the void entities adjust their strategies. Perfect, Amanda grinned. Hey everyone, remember that thing we practiced? Time for a Phase 2 strat switch. On command, every human fighter suddenly changed their behavior. Delivery drivers started using quantum parallel parking techniques in dogfights. Competitive Super Smash Bros. Players applied wavedashing to spaceship movement. A group of Among Us players had somehow turned an entire void entity fleet against itself through elaborate quantum deception. The void entity's perfect predictions fell apart in the face of humanity's practiced chaos. Their attempts to calculate human behavior were like trying to speedrun a game, while the speedrunners themselves were actively patching it. This is beyond chaos, Commander Nex observed, watching as a grandmother's quantum knitting club literally knitted a battleship into a sweater. This is orchestrated madness. Nah, Amanda replied, watching the battle unfold across multiple Twitch streams simultaneously. This is just what happens when you try to fight a species that turned getting good into an art form. The final blow came from an unexpected source. A 6-year-old girl who'd been playing The Floor is Lava with quantum-enhanced rules somehow applied the game's logic to the Void Entity's command ship. The resulting paradox of making space is lava into a quantum reality caused their entire fleet to retreat rather than deal with the headache of figuring out the rule set. As the void ships disappeared, humanity celebrated in its own unique way by immediately trying to figure out how to speedrun the victory even faster next time. I still don't understand, Catal admitted, watching Earth's defenders return home, many of them already uploading their battle footage with clickbait titles. How did you do it? Amanda looked at the quantum readings, showing humanity's consciousness now operating on levels that made the collective's enhanced minds look simple in comparison. We didn't just play the game, she explained. We changed what the game could be. And it turns out, reality is the ultimate sandbox game.